Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here. And today we have the brand spanking new Tier 8 Soviet Battleship, the Borodino import to review for you guys today. As always, massive shout out to the Patrons for making this possible. As many of you guys know, I am not a CC, so I don't get any of these ships to review for free from Wargaming. I have to fund them out of the ad revenue from the channel and donations from you guys, which is absolutely awesome. Again, it allows me to ensure that I get just about every premium ship that comes up reviewed for you guys. Again, massive shout out to those guys whose names should have just popped up on screen here for a minute. And if you wish to support the channel via Patreon, link is in the description down below. Alright, so the Borodino. This ship got announced, I think, in, was it 2019, late 2019? When they announced the Soviet battleships. And she just never came out until now. This is basically, if you want to be a little memey, a Soviet Jean Bar. You get 2 turrets in the front, none in the back, except for these 2 Nevsky turrets, which that's it for your secondaries. They probably aren't very good because of the way the secondaries have changed, unfortunately. Even if you build into them now, I'm sure if this ship came out pre-Commander rework, you could have a fair amount of meme with these secondaries if you actually built into them. But today, I mean, if it's not German or American, your secondaries are just pointless most of the time. They might nick a ship every now and then, and you might get lucky. But the Borodino, this is quite the boat. I mean, first off, look at the schnoz on this thing. First off, oh god, definitely meant for the North Atlantic. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and look at her characteristics and stats and go over her quirks and features. As always, no modules have been mounted nor commander skills applied. So let's go ahead and take a look at her armor. And she has a 25mm bow. I did not know that. As always in these cases, I don't look at these ships beforehand, so you're getting my actual first impressions when I look at them. But 25mm bow, man, and she, like I said, she got a snoz on her. So, oh, this is gonna be interesting. 50mm icebreaker bow, but I mean, look at this. You got just this massive real estate area up here. That's like when people like to say that, where is she at? Kremlin's got that icebreaker bow. It's like, yeah, she's got that icebreaker bow, but look, I mean, you still got all this to shoot if you're in Yami or Shiki, and it's not like it's a small bow either. Same for the Borodino here. Alright, so 25mm bow, alright. 25mm upper deck for the bow. 50mm mid deck, that's good. That's nice and good. That's a nice middle figure to most HE at tier 8. 25mm stern and 25mm stern plating as well, with a 50mm strip here and a 200mm strip there. I'm assuming that's covering the steering gears. Now, that's the thing that people underestimate about this game. There actually is more armor modeled on the interior of these ships. You just don't see it in game. Unfortunately, that's one of the many hidden details that this game has. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, you're not pinning that, unless some really weird stuff happens. But 50mm upper belt, 220mm belt. Oh, is this a Citadel? Is it like straight up just left out high to dry? Oh my God, it is. It looks like. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of like the Kremlin Citadel. It's high, dry, and exposed. It doesn't look like it's as sharply angled in as the Kremlin. Let's take a look at that. No, it's roughly the same. It's just a lot thinner. It's only 220 instead of the 440, 430 that the Kremlin has. I know I keep coming back to the Kremlin looking at the comparisons, but that's just what it looks like. But yeah, so you don't want to get your side exposed. That's gonna it's gonna rock your world if you do, it looks like. Alright, so survivability. She has 64,200 hit points, only 24% torpedo damage reduction. That's rare, because let's say well, the Len's not a good example, my bad. The Vladivostok has 21%. Okay, I thought they were higher than that. No, the Kremlin's got good torque protection. That's what I'm thinking of. My bad. Alright, main battery shoots 2x3 of her 406mm guns. Now, these are, of course, Soviet 16-inch guns, so they do pack quite the punch. She has a reload time of 31 seconds, 180 time of 30 seconds, so that's pretty quick. Maximum dispersion of 212 meters. That sounds battlecruisery. Does she have battlecruiser dispersion? That would explain why. Well, yeah, she only has 6 guns. I hope they would give her something like that. They have a 40% chance of causing a fire. That's pretty nice. 68mm of HE pen. And her AP does 13,250 maximum damage. Maximum range of 19.6 kilometers with no way to increase that. 830 AP and HE shell velocity. So, 6 guns with a 31-second reload time. Ooh, that's, I thought maybe 28 with only 6 guns at tier 8. But they are Soviet 16-inch guns, so I mean, you gotta keep those in check. And of course, her 4 Nevsky guns here at the rear, 180mm guns, 6-second load time, 2,500 maximum HE shell damage, 13% chance of causing a fire, and 30mm of HE pen, and 1,000 meters second velocity with a maximum range of 6.6 kilometers. Again, I don't think these will be anything besides shotguns. Again, before the rework potential, mean potential here. But after, no, I don't think so. Alright. AA, she has an A rating of 71. She has 48 of these 25mm guns. And then she has 24 of these 57mm guns. And the 180s are dual purpose. Maximum A range of 5.8 kilometers. So, medium-ish range AA. Actually, at tier 8, that's probably pretty high, pretty far. She's pretty quick, though. A maximum speed of 31.6 knots. Has a trademark, a Russian battleship continental turning radius of 1,060 meters and a 15-second rudder shift time. Concealment, her detectability range by sea base is 17 kilometers, well, 60.9 kilometers. That's not good. That's like 2 kilometers outside of her firing range. And detectability by air from 11.8 kilometers. Let's see what she has in her Gimmick Box. Oh, that's right, she does have radar. So she has a 12-kilometer radar that lasts for 25 seconds. It takes 2 minutes to cool down, and you get 3 charges of that. And she only gets 3 repair parties, but unlimited damage cons. So this is a weird thing. They've given her like the Slava treatment in terms of her repair party and her damage con and her bow armor. But also the armor is pretty reminiscent of Stalingrad, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, and it looks like she has battlecruiser dispersion from her main guns too, so they kind of Stalingraded her, it seems like. So this is going to be an interesting boat to play. So I'm going to go ahead and module her and captain her out, and we will reconvene here. Alright, she has been moduled and kitted out, and we're going to take a look at the build that I went with for her here right now. So, module build, I went with the standard Soviet Battleship build, which is of course a tank build. So we went with main armaments mod 1 to keep our guns in the fight, especially since we only have 6 guns. We really want those turrets to stay in there. Damage con 1, and if you're feeling a bit spicy, you could go for surveillance radar mod 1 here to increase the duration of your radar. But being that we are a battleship, we're going to eat HE, and we don't have the special Soviet battleship damage con, so fires suck. TLDR. Aim assistant mod 1 in the 3rd slot. Damage con 2 in the 4th slot. And then concealment in the 5th slot, because you want to get that detection range down, especially with a ship with only a 25mm bow and stern, because 15-inch can overmatch that. And there's plenty of 15-inch at tier 8, 7, and 6. Even if you're up tier, you can get overmatched by like the Bayern, West Virginia, Warspite, so forth and so on. And for the commander build, went with preventive maintenance, MLG turrets, adrenaline rush, basics of survivability, emergency repair expert, concealment, and of course fire prevention. Now you could of course swap grease the gears for consumable enhancements to get that raider out even longer. But this is just my Soviet Battleship Commander. You know, it's Kuznetsov. So, you know, I didn't feel like paying to respec him for one skill, but you could totally go with consumable enhancements. Make perfect sense to get that raider out even longer. I just don't feel like paying to respec Kuznetsov here. But other than that, I think everything else you're pretty much going to want to take, especially on the Borodino, especially emergency repair expert, because you only get 3 heals. Now you can get 4. If you have Kuznetsov, you get his hidden. Well, in most cases it's a 6 heal, but for the Borodino here, it's the 5th heal. And you can potentially get another one with his emergency reserve talent if you get First Blood. So that's pretty nice here too. So now this gives the Borodino here, the main battery rotates in 25 seconds now, and your maximum dispersion is 198 meters. That's very, very, very good. And her concealment's now down to 13.7 kilometers, which is a lot better than it was beforehand. Again, the ability to leave an engagement is very, 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 very valuable, especially on a tier 8 battleship. Maximum speed with the flag on is 33.2 knots. And anything else I need to check? I think that's all that was changed. Yes, it was. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead, hop into battle, and meet you guys there with my review of the ship. Hey guys, voiceover Mountbatten here. And the Borodino. The ship got stuck in dev hell for 2 years, by the way. And we get the ship right here that we have today. Which, through my battles in her for this review, I think I saw a glimpse into what the Borodino was. But I'm here to tell you that this Borodino is not that Borodino at all, at least. Her dispersion is one of 2 extremes. You either get the salvo where the shells merge into a single pixel, and you can choose which like AA mount you want to remove from the ship, or you get the dispersion where the rounds, you know, they're from the bow to the stern of the ship and then some, with only 6 shells. So that's kind of terrible. In most cases, when I do get most of the middle ground salvos, at least, it seemed to be kind of Japanese-ish, if you will. You know, that dispersion where it's kind of all over the place and not that good. And you've only got 6 guns with that, with a 31-second reload time. I don't know why they did her dirty like that with the reload time. A 28-second reload time would have been better, in my opinion, for the ship that we have in game. I mean, you've got 19-kilometer range in a tier 8 battleship with 6 guns. With good ballistics, the shells are good, and when they do connect, they do carry quite a punch. But it's not like it's Slava's punch, and it's not like the guns are so accurate to where you have to, you know, reel in that accuracy with the reload time, like with the Vermont and the Slava and other ships that have, you know, high levels of accuracy with good punchy AP. It's not like that here. So in terms of firepower, the ship unfortunately feels like it lacks a lot of firepower, in my mind at least. Now again, you do roll the dice and everything does line up, and you will slap ships from time to time. But every other salvo in between is going to be incredibly frustrating. And the match you're watching right now is a pretty good example of that. There's literally, and you'll see it here in a moment where I fire, the shells do the single pixel shell, slap the crap out of the target. Target keeps sailing broadside. I fire again. Literally the same distance. I haven't moved my ship much in the past 30 seconds. The salvo now straddles the ship. I do nick it with 1 shell for a citadel, which made up for it. But the shells bracket the ship stem to stern. That sums up my Borodino experience pretty well. Now, where should you play the Borodino? Is it a long-range ship? Is it a mid-range ship? Is it a close-range ship? This is a mid to long range ship in my experience. First off, you don't have the armor to sit in at close range, which is pretty weird because you get the radar. Ideally, you want to be using the radar to spot targets for your team. With the Borodino, if you do that early to mid game, you're going to get focused down and you're going to die. There's not a lot you can do about it. You got 25mm bow, 25mm bow deck plating, 25mm stern, 25mm stern plating. Yes, you do have the icebreaker bow. Yes, if ships do shoot you there, they will bounce. However, battleships are battleships. Their dispersions kind of throw their shells all over the place. More than a few are going to hit you in your bow and your bow deck, and it's just going to go right through your armor. And of course, too, the ship is absolutely massive. I'm pretty sure this is the largest ship at Tier 8. There's also a moment, I think, in this game, too, when I sail by our Thunderer, or one of our other, like, Tier 10 battleships, and the Borodino is pretty much the same size. The ship's massive, is what I'm saying. You're going to eat HE, and you're going to eat a lot of it. I also fire a lot in this ship, more so than in a lot of German battleships. It kind of sucks. So, you don't want to get in close in this ship. Which kind of sucks because the guns are very much in that advantageous position for getting in close, hugging an island, like you play John Barr, like you play Rishu, like you play Dunkirk. You find an island, get it on your side, make a channel, and you're kind of like a tank destroyer if you play Water Tanks or War Thunder. You sit there, you can bow tank for days, but if you get flanked, you're kind of boned. I tried that early on, and again, didn't work out very well. This is a much more mid to long range ship. And I say long range in quotation marks because you only have a 19-kilometer range in the Borodino. And when you get up tiered, that kind of sucks because most things at tier 10 and tier 9 simply outrange you. And if you want to get your guns in the fight, you got to get close by tier 10 standards, especially tier 10 standards today. That being said, again, if a ship does show you a broadside and you do roll the lucky roll with your dice, you will punch the crap out of ships. They are so used as guns at tier 8. Now, if you are top tier, I actually can't tell you about that because every single match I played in the Borodino, I was bottom tier, getting up tier to tier 10. But again, you do have 16-inch guns at tier 8, and you can punch the crap out of tier 7, tier 6 cruisers simply by the value of overmatching. So, yeah, I'm sure it's quite good when it's top tier. I just never got to experience it. But the rest of the ship, how's the rest of the ship handled? I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the guns because that was the most frustrating part for me. Oh, and of course, too, you do only have 6 guns, and every single shell that you miss in a 6-gun battleship hurts that much more. And I say that when I talk about super accurate ships like the Shikishima and the Georgia. The Borodino does not fall into that super accurate category, even though it's touted as having battle cruiser dispersion. So when you're shooting and 3 of your 6 shells go in the water and you clip them with 3 shells, it's like, pain, because you have a 31-second reload. But anyway, the rest of the ship. I would talk about the armor. It's not that great. You can't really bow tank. Now, if you are angled and they do fall into the trap of trying to shoot your cheek where that plate's at, sure, again, they're going to bounce, but your schnoz is massive. There are shells that are just going to land, not on the belt, and you're going to eat damage. In terms of survivability, I'd rate the ship as medium to lowish in terms of that. If you have Kuznetsov, his gimmicks help out and extend your life a little bit, but don't get in a situation where you can be focused down in the ship because you will go down. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. AA is on the weak side too. I did get a match where it was a tier 10 game. There were tier 8 CVs involved, and since there were tier 8 CVs involved and I was a tier 8 ship, I was a prime target. I felt like I couldn't really do anything to their planes and definitely couldn't discourage them from coming back and dropping on me. So AA is definitely on the weaker side in this thing. Maneuverability, this thing has a massive turning radius. I'm pretty sure it's the largest out of the tier 8 battleships. I mean, it makes the Stalingrad blush and the Moskva blush too, with how big the sucker's turning radius is. Concealment 13.7, once you build into it's not bad. It's just that, again, with me playing a lot of tier 10 games, I had to get uncomfortably close to the enemy team, so I really couldn't use that to my advantage. But again, I'm sure in a tier 8 game, It's perfectly workable. 13.7 really isn't bad concealment for a Tier 8 battleship at all. It's just that, again, the situations that I was in, I wasn't able to utilize it to get out of trouble. But there were some situations where I was sitting back at longer ranges, like 16, 17 kilometers, and I was able to use it to get out of trouble. But again, that's just about every battleship at that point in time, at that range. But it's nothing special. It's just okay from my mind, at least. Overall, how'd I do playing the ship? Well, despite being double up tiered, and despite many of the matches not lasting very long, I think the longest match, well, you're actually watching the longest match I had right now, and this is actually the closest match I had in my playtime of the Borodino for this review, believe it or not. Even in the matches that were lasting like 8, 9 minutes, 7 minutes, I was still able to get about 80,000 damage in with the Borodino. Which, with a ship that's being double up tiered to tier 10 games, and with one team trying to speedrun the match, that's actually pretty darn good. Despite the frustrating salvos, despite the lack of tank from this ship, despite the inability to really use your main gimmick, which is the radar, which that's a very weird thing. They give you 12-kilometer radar, but the ship is best played from like 14 kilometers back. Sure, you could say it's great for late game, which I'm pretty sure it probably would be great for that late game when there's a couple of ships left, a couple of cruisers left, you're having to get into the islands, having to radar and see where those ships are at, ruin their ambush attempt on you. But the fact of the matter is, in most high-tier games nowadays, there is no late game. Because like I experienced this morning, and as I'm sure I'm going to experience tonight, because I'm recording this on Friday, for the live stream, these matches are over in like 8-9 minutes. So you can't really utilize that in most cases. I sure wasn't. The match you're watching right now, I kind of was. I was able to radar a DD here and there for our team, and it's great in that situation. But it's just, it's so situational. It's not like the Moskva, the Stalingrad, or other radar cruisers where you can get in close to the action and utilize your radar for just about the entire duration of the match. That wasn't my experience in the Borodino. It's very, very situational. But anyway, her performance was really consistent. I have to give that to her. The guns, when they connect, they pack a punch. But I do feel like the 31-second reload time is a bit of a killer for me. It's just too long for a ship with 6 guns where the dispersion is this inconsistent. And 80,000 damage in a Tier 8 battleship in a Tier 10 game is not bad. But it could be better. I really don't feel like this ship is overperforming. It's just that it's so frustrating to watch half of your shells go in the water when you only have 6 guns. And a lot of times these shells are going in the water from like 12 to 14 kilometers away. And understand that at that range, a Tier 8 battleship isn't going to be drilling targets. But when you only have 6 guns and a 31-second reload time, they should be more accurate than that. It's just really frustrating to play with 6 guns with a 30-second reload time with the RNG that this thing has. And I'm not really sure what to say about that, because on one hand, it feels really inconsistent with its RNG. But on the other hand, I did decent in terms of average damage. If I was in like in Alabama, North Carolina, even in Amagi, more shells would have connected and I definitely would have done more damage. It's just such a random experience in this ship. A frustrating experience in the ship. And I feel like when you give a ship a 30+ second reload time, so like 31 second, 32, 33 second reload time, the guns should be consistent. That's the price to pay for consistent guns. But the Borodino's guns aren't consistent, from my experience at least. So that's really, really, really frustrating. I really feel like a 28-second reload time would have been better for the ship. However, overall, I can't say that the ship is bad because I did perform consistently in it. And I did have a couple of pretty nice games. I had a 95k game and I had this 117k game back to back. I guess my RNG started to change for the better at this point in time in my playthrough of the Borodino. So overall, the Borodino isn't bad, but it's not fantastic. This isn't a ship I would say drop what you're doing and buy it, but it's also not one I would say you shouldn't buy. It's okay. I wouldn't discourage you from buying it. I wouldn't encourage you to buy it. If you're feeling like spending $50 on a ship, okay. It's going to take the same captain build that the other Soviet battleships take, so you could use it to train your Soviet BB commander. But we do have to keep in mind too, this is replacing the Lenin as a Tier 8 premium Soviet battleship. In my mind, the Lenin was a lot better than this thing. A whole lot better than this thing, actually. It's probably the only Soviet battleship most of the player base will say is balanced, actually, which is really funny, because when this thing was in development, we heard all kinds of rumors and whispers that this thing was like God tier. And I think I got a taste of that in those salvos where the shells unified into a single pixel. I have a suspicion that that is probably what she was like back in the day when she was in testing, kind of like a true Tier 8 Pobeda. But she is not that ship anymore. The dispersion is much worse, and the reload time is much longer. So, again, overall, an okay ship. If you liked what you saw here, you'll probably be okay to buy it. But there are better choices in my mind. Alabama's a lot better choice than this boat, in my mind. If Lenin was still available, I'd say get Lenin instead. But I can't say it's bad, because it was pretty consistent when I was playing her in terms of damage being done. But it was also consistent and frustrating me with a lot of the salvos on it. So that's my review for the Tier 8 Premium Soviet Battleship Borodino. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 30,000 subscribers, just past 27,200 a few days ago. I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Also, if you guys didn't catch it yesterday, I released a video that was another recreation video, this time the Battle of the North Cape. Please go check that out. A lot of work was put into it, and I know myself and those involved would very much appreciate if you guys would go and check that video out. Thanks again for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.